What if I told you that the secret to a better life is not giving a fuck? Sounds wrong, right? We're told to care, to hustle, to dream big, to never stop trying. But what if this always positive mindset is actually making your life worse? In a world obsessed with more money, more success, more likes, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson comes as a slap of brutal honesty. This is not your typical self-help book. It doesn't tell you to be extraordinary. It tells you, stop trying to be. Because the truth is, life is limited, and your time, energy, and fucks to give are limited too. So what should you really care about? In this summary, we'll break down the 7 brutally honest principles of Mark Manson that will change how you look at success, happiness, and life itself. By the end of this video, you'll know how to stop chasing meaningless goals, start choosing your problems wisely, and live a life that actually matters. So hit that like button, subscribe to Shiny Books, and let's dive into the no BS world of Mark Manson. Chapter 1, Don't Try. Mark starts with a paradox. The more you pursue feeling better all the time, the less satisfied you become. This is what he calls the feedback loop from hell. If you constantly feel anxious, you get anxious about being anxious. You're angry at yourself for being angry. You feel guilty for feeling sad. This toxic spiral is caused by overvaluing positivity. But guess what? Life doesn't work that way. Here's the truth. Not everything needs to be fixed. Not every emotion needs to be happy. Mark shares the story of Charles Bukowski, an alcoholic, gambler, womanizer, and yet a successful writer. When he finally gets a book deal, the publisher puts this line on his tombstone. Don't try. Why? Because Bukowski wasn't interested in being liked or extraordinary. He simply did what felt honest to him, writing brutally real stuff. He didn't try to be a success. He simply didn't give a fuck. Lesson: trying too hard to be positive, special, or extraordinary only highlights what you lack. Stop trying to be more. Start accepting your reality and work from there. Chapter 2. Happiness is a problem. Here's the bombshell. Suffering is necessary. Happiness comes from solving problems, not avoiding them. Mark argues that we all have problems. The difference is not if we have problems, but what kind of problems we're willing to deal with. Who you are is defined by the values you're willing to struggle for. He gives the example of Dave Mustaine, who got kicked out of Metallica just before they became the biggest metal band in the world. He formed his own band, Megadeth, which sold over 25 million albums. But Mustaine still considered himself a failure because he wasn't Metallica. On the flip side, Pete Best, the original drummer of the Beatles, got kicked out before they became stars. But years later, he said it was the best thing that happened to him because it led him to a happy family life. Same problem, different values, different results. Lesson: happiness is not about avoiding problems. It's about solving the right problems, the ones that align with your values. So ask yourself, what problems are you willing to struggle for? Chapter 3. You are not special. This one's a punch in the ego. Mark tears down the modern obsession with being special. We're taught that we're all unique, extraordinary, and destined for greatness. But statistically speaking, most of us are average, and that's okay. The more you embrace being average, the more exceptional you become. When we believe we're special, we start thinking we deserve success without effort. We avoid feedback. We reject criticism. We stay stuck. Mark shares his own story. A guy who failed in business, relationships, and life, until he stopped chasing fantasies and started taking responsibility. Lesson: you're not special. You're not owed anything. Accepting your ordinariness gives you the freedom to grow, fail, and improve. Chapter 4. The Value of Suffering. Everything you do, everything you are, is tied to your values. But here's the catch. Not all values are equal. Mark categorizes values into 2 types. Chapter 5. You're always choosing. You may not be responsible for what happens to you, but you are always responsible for how you respond. This is the power of choosing. Mark shares the story of William James, the father of modern psychology, who struggled with depression and suicidal thoughts. He made a simple experiment. I will assume responsibility for everything in my life for 1 year. That decision changed his life and the world. With great responsibility comes great power. Sounds like Spider-Man, right? But this time it's real. When you stop blaming others and start owning your choices, you gain control. Lesson: even pain can become power if you take responsibility. Chapter 6. You're wrong about everything. Here's a painful truth: you're wrong. I'm wrong. We're all wrong, all the time. We like to believe we're always right. But growth only happens when we admit we don't know everything. Mark encourages embracing doubt and questioning your beliefs. He calls it the Manson's law of avoidance. The more something threatens your identity, the more you'll avoid it. Example: a successful writer might avoid criticism because it threatens their identity as a good writer. But what if they accepted being wrong? They'd improve faster. Lesson: being wrong is how you grow. Start questioning your beliefs and stay humble. Chapter 7. And then you die. Let's end with death. Not to depress you, but to wake you up. Mark tells the story of a man who was in the hospital watching his friend die. That moment made him realize we all die, but not all of us truly live. When you confront your mortality, you start living differently. You stop wasting time on drama. You stop giving a fuck about things that don't matter. You start focusing on what truly does. Legacy becomes your final value, and perhaps your only one. Death is the only thing we can be sure of. So how will you use your limited time? Lesson: face your mortality. Live in a way that would make your last moments meaningful. Conclusion: so here's the truth Mark Manson wants you to remember. You only have so many fucks to give. So give them to things that actually matter. Don't try to be extraordinary. Don't chase constant happiness. Don't fear being wrong. Choose better problems. Own your choices. Live your values. And remember, one day it all ends. So stop wasting your life on things you don't truly care about. If this summary hit you hard, don't forget to like the video, comment your favorite lesson, and subscribe to Shiny Books for more real, raw, and powerful book insights every single week. And hey, remember, it's okay to not give a fuck, as long as you choose wisely.